taken a while for Lexus to catch up to the plug-in hybrid crowd, but it has finally arrived with its NX self-charging hybrid now available as a plug-in hybrid model in the guise of the Lexus NX 450h+. Now this will naturally go up against other fancy SUVs from the likes of BMW, Mercedes and Audi. Oh, and also Toyota, because the 450h+ actually shares its electrical underpinnings with the Toyota RAV4. So, should you be looking to invest in the Lexus 450h+ plug-in hybrid? Well, that's what we're going to look at in this video. But before we start crunching all the figures, of which there are plenty, I think we can all agree that this is a very good looking car. Better looking than the Toyota RAV4, so there you go. Now, I've always felt that Lexus has been playing catch up on the interior design side of things, with their interiors being very much tailored towards a specific type of older motorist. Well, I'm happy to say that isn't the case with the NX. I mean, this interior is lovely. There's just the right amount of swooshing design elements, soft touch areas, hidden door handle quirks, and inlays that exude a sense of elegance, but not arrogance. Specifically German arrogance. I also like these part physical, part digital climate control features too. Very nice and very unique. Also, I'm happy to say that Lexus has gotten rid of that touchpad dial that used to be down here, which was just a nightmare to use, but they have replaced it with something that's a little bit hot and cold in the form of these touch controls on the steering wheel, but I'll get back to that in a minute. Now, in line with its brand prestige, the Lexus NX does get a ton of kit as standard. You get parking sensors, heated seats, tons of clever safety features, and a large 9.8-inch touchscreen. Now go for the flagship Takumi trim that we've got and you get a larger 14-inch touchscreen. You get a 360-degree panoramic parking camera, which is very cool, sumptuous leather seats, a rear view camera display, a sunroof, and well, so far I've not really been wanting for anything tech-wise. Well, say that, I would like slightly simpler steering wheel controls. Now, I've been changing my mind daily with this really. These controls here don't have any commands printed on them because they do control multiple different things. Now with this, you can control things behind the steering wheel and this instrument cluster. You can also, importantly, control things in the head-up display. This is, in theory, really cool. You can select from multiple different features. You select it, you go round like that, you select it, it's, like I say, it's touch sensitive as well. Then you select what you want. Okay, I want adaptive cruise control, then you click there, and boom, you've activated it. You can also toggle different things with this left joystick, like whatever music you want playing, and your call controls. Now, like I say, in theory, these are great. I mean, it packs so many features into the head-up display and means you don't have to take your eyes off the road to navigate the touchscreen. However, they do take a lot of getting used to, and especially if you're not particularly tech savvy, these are probably just going to do your head in. So it's a good job that this touchscreen can just be navigated like a regular touchscreen, and it's very responsive, very easy to use. So yeah, if these are annoying you, by all means use that. Practicality in the cabin is good all round as well. You've got a massive glove box, always nice. You've also got bottle-friendly door bins, two huge cup holders in the middle, and two what I like to call James Bond-esque features. Now pay attention 007, you've got an armrest which opens that way and that way, just in case you need to quickly access an exploding pen. And you've got a false floor storage device here to access things like your microfilm and other gadgets. Was it worth it? Now overall, space in the back of the NX is really good. You've got loads of leg room. You can even put your feet under the seat in front. You've also got plenty of headroom, and even if you sit in this middle seat, because the bench is nice and flat, headroom's pretty good as well. I mean, okay, you might struggle for elbow room a little bit, and there is a bit of a transmission tunnel, but there's still a nice platform to put your feet on to get comfy, and you can even steal some of the footwell room either side as well, because there is plenty of it. But yeah, in general, it's a very nice place to spend time back here, and you've got a few creature comforts as well. You've got a nice armrest with two cup holders. You also get USB charging down here and heated seats here, plus these windows wind all the way down. Now, looking at the chunky rear end of the NX, you might expect its boot opening to be really narrow and awkward, but it isn't. I mean, look at that. It's very workable indeed, especially when you consider that it's got a virtually non-existent load lip. Now, storage-wise, you're looking at 545 litres back here with the seats in place, which is on par with its rivals. There's even a little bit of underfloor storage, although that is supposed to be reserved for the charging cables. But if you really wanted to, you could take that out and put whatever you want in. Now, one thing I haven't actually tried is removing this parcel shelf. Now, this is supposed to be easy to remove and very easy to store because it's got a fold flat design. So I thought I'd try it for the first time on camera. I mean, there you go. How easy was that? Does that go under there? Right, okay, yeah, so very easy to take off. Doesn't really go under the boot floor. I'll put this back on. So yeah, that was fun. Anyway, if you do want a bit more storage back here, these seats do fold down almost completely flat, although you don't get any quick release levers here, which for a luxury car like a Lexus, you would expect. Never mind. So underneath, this NX shares a heck of a lot with the Toyota RAV4 I mentioned earlier. This includes a 2.5 litre naturally aspirated petrol mated to a pair of electric motors and an 18.1 kilowatt per hour battery. Now together these produce a total output of 306 horsepower, and of course the ability to achieve full or part electric driving. Now this powertrain sits alongside a CVT automatic gearbox, which to be honest I think is really well mated to the NX. It can be a bit hit and miss in other models, but unless you whack your foot down like that, which does produce a very familiar roar, you know, it's fine. So what's the crack with its hybrid and electric capabilities? Well, because of its small battery, when fully charged, you're only going to get around a 40-mile full electric range. And when it's depleted, it's going to take about 3 hours to charge from a 7 kilowatt per hour home wallbox charger. Now, when it comes to what kind of MPG figures you're going to get, it really does depend on what kind of driving you're going to be doing and how you are going to manage that electric range. Now, when it comes to official MPG figures, the 280 miles per gallon figure, or whatever it is that it claims, isn't really meant as a long-term figure. Really, realistically, with urban, motorway, electric, hybrid, you know, a good mix of driving, you're going to be looking at around 55 miles per gallon pretty easily. That's what I've been getting anyway. Although if you do stay on top of its charging, you know, 60, 70 miles per gallon, yeah, that is certainly achievable. And when it comes to managing that electric range, there are various driving modes to choose from. So you've got EV mode, which will use as much electric juice in the battery as possible until it runs out. There's HV mode, which is like your standard self-charging hybrid mode that you get in the standard NX. Then there is auto mode, which basically flicks between those two modes and will use whichever it feels is appropriate. There's also something called regen mode, which basically uses things like regenerative braking to put power back into the battery, and then you can subsequently use it in EV or HV mode. Although I think when you're driving about, you can only top the battery up via regen up to like 28 miles, I think, as opposed to the full 40 that you get off a charge. I think that's the case anyway. It's definitely worth a bit of trial and error with that. But all in, I've found that 40-mile EV range to be pretty accurate. I mean, the cold weather we've been getting doesn't really help, but yeah, it's really seamless to drive as well. I mean, the way the car switches between electric, hybrid, it is really, really smooth. And that brings me on to what the NX is like to drive as a whole, which is absolutely lovely. I mean, insulation is good, even at motorway speeds. It's just a pleasure to spend time on long distance journeys in. The ride is buttery smooth over everything except bad potholes. The brakes aren't too grabby, which is always a plus when it comes to hybrids and plug-ins. And the steering, while not tantalizing, is surprisingly responsive, and yeah, it's quite fun to drive. In fact, body roll's surprisingly kept in check too, even with the added 200 kilograms of the plug-in hybrid system. Certainly feels more up for it on a twisty road than a RAV4 does, although not as much as something like a BMW X3. So, are you going to be saving money at the pumps with the NX 450h Plus? It really does depend on how you manage that electric range, like I mentioned earlier, and what kind of driving you're going to be doing on the weekend and during your daily commute. However, regardless of all that, you are going to save money if you're a company car driver, because it comes with a big advantage of having a BIK tax rating of just 8% for 2022 and 2023, which is why a lot of company car drivers are going for plug-ins regardless of what kind of range or mileage you're getting. So, is the 450h Plus nice to drive? Yes. Does it have a nice interior? Yes. And can it offer zero emissions driving? Yes. But is it expensive? Yeah, I mean, all plug-ins are, relative to standard hybrids, that is. And that's where the debate comes in, whether its 40-something all-electric range is really worth it. I mean, all things considered, your wallet will probably be better off even in the long run just going for the standard NX self-charging hybrid. Or you can cut a financial corner and be 8 grand better off and just go for the Toyota RAV4 plug-in hybrid. Although the NX does feel more special in, well, every single way when compared to the Toyota. So yeah.